This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Hello and welcome to episode 269 of the Niler 9 podcast. On this week's episode, we are going to be talking to some of the artists who are heading down to Dingle. As many of you probably know, I'm a big fan of Other Voices in Dingle. I have been going probably for, 15 years maybe, something like that. I think it's the purest expression of music in a small place. It's buzzy, it's exciting, it's full of new artists, it's full of new music, it's full of people. It's fun. It's a really fun weekend. There's something special taking that time to go from where I am here in Dublin and drive down or occasionally get a flight down to Kerry and, take the 4.5 hours, whatever it is that it takes to get down there. And you go through the Connor Pass and you arrive at Dingle, this magic little seaside town. That special intimate magic brings me back every year. So this year, the likes of Bean Stellar, Fionn Regan, Nubia Garcia, Laura Marling, Wonder Horse, Rachel Lavelle, Lisa O'Neill and Morgana are playing St. James's Church. Of course, Other Voices started as the TV show in St. James's Church. The performances that happen there in the small church are broadcast around the world now online and then later on for TV broadcast on RTE. But the main reason why people are going down there now is because of the music trail, which this year is, and next year, is sponsored by Jameson. So it's the Jameson Music Trail. There's 100 live sets from dozens of Irish artists, loads and loads and loads of stuff that I love, that I feature all the time. Many acts are playing twice. There's 16 different venues, and I'm talking about like lovely little spots for people to play gigs in. Little pubs, back rooms, courthouse, on Deschart, which is a lovely stained glass window church as well, little coffee shops. And this year, the addition of a Jameson Connects stage at the Dingle Bridge House. Anyone who's been down to Other Voices before has maybe experienced the Hillgrove, the nightclub, in the last few years, which is sadly now closed. And so the Dingle Bridge House kind of answers that question about what do we do when so many people are in the town at once. And the Jameson Connect stage is going to be presenting a load of very interesting, cool artists who are down there. And we're going to talk to Juno King and the King family from Other Voices. And Juno is part of the Other Voices family, but she's literally has been part of Other Voices pretty much all her life, along with her triplet sisters, Ellen and Molly. Other Voices is a real family affair, and we talked to Juno about the exciting things that are happening this year that are a bit different and why Dingle matters so much. And we're also going to talk to Silverbacks, who just released their third album, Easy Being a Winner. So we're talking to Dan and Paul from the band Silverbacks. So that'll be a bit later on. We're going to talk about the new album, heading down to Dingle, making the new album with Dan Fox from GIlla Band, which is their third time doing it. So we'll have a chat about that. Before that, though, we're going to have a chat to Ronan Keeley, aka Junior Brother, a man from Kerry himself. We talk about going to Other Voices, playing the church, playing the trail, and also his forthcoming new album, which he is making at the moment with John Spud Murphy, or it's basically finished. And so we'll talk a bit about what's to come from him in 2025. And also, before the end of the year, his upcoming appearance at the Pogues, his celebration that's happening at the 3 Arena on the 17th of December. Most of our chat is around the Jameson Music Trail and the Other Voices. And yeah, if you are coming down to Dingle this year, it is its 23rd year, November 29th to December 1st. Even if you're not going and you've been before, you know the allure of the place, you know how exciting it can be. Let's go and talk to the artists who are coming down this year.
out quick, you're a prick and I can't take it back, because modern life doesn't ask questions. Think quick, you're a prick and you won't give it back, because modern life doesn't ask questions. I'm in the middle of a hole to be buried by the men who eat ring farts. Come inside the ring, everything here today is gone tomorrow. Everything.
So, Ronan, last time I was talking to you was actually at Ireland Music Week, and you were bopping around seeing a few of the bands. Did you get to see at that weekend that you enjoyed? Anything you stood out to you?
I saw a bit of, or heard a bit of Child of Prague, I believe was one of the acts playing there, and then I got to see Niamh Burry in the Workman's Cellar.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't get to see a lot more other than that, really. It was more sort of the conferences I was going to, because I was part of kind of one of the panels. So I was mainly checking those ones out. Didn't get to see as much music as I would have liked to, but what I saw was great.
Yeah, it can be very restorative, I think, as well. Those kind of experiences to like cram loads of things in a few days.
Yeah.
Bit like Dingle, actually. Bit like Dingle when you go down for other voices. I presume you've been down there before a number of times for the festival.
Yeah, I've been down there a good few times. Yeah, it's always brilliant. I'm really looking forward to going back now this year again.
Yeah. So you're from Kerry yourself. Whereabouts in Kerry?
I'm from Kilcummin, which is between Killarney and kind of Tralee.
So you're not too far away.
No, well, I mean, Kerry's a big place. It should be divided into a few counties, really. But it'd be like an hour and a bit's drive, I'd say, from where Other Voices happens in Dingle. And it's just, it's beautiful out there. It's really, it's unique just from Dingle on to the west. It's just nowhere like it in the world. Even where I'm from isn't really like it, you know.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It just feels like sometimes there's a bit of magic in the air and down there, especially that time of year as well.
Yeah, and there's just so much great music as well. Everywhere you turn, it's brilliant, and yeah, as you said, there's a great atmosphere down there every year as well. Do
you have any favourite places down there, or favorite place you played? Maybe.
I mean, the church, the other church down there.
Yeah, with the stained glass windows.
Yeah, I played there last year and that was a highlight. Gainey's Yard as well. I did the other room in there a couple of years ago. That was great too. Yeah. And I did the church a few years ago, but I was playing guitar for David Keenan.
Yeah, which was
a great experience as well. It's really magic in there in particular. But yeah, no, the whole town just is great for the weekend. And I mean, Dingle's great anyway, but it's really special during Other Voices.
Yeah, would you be able to pick out a favourite pub you have down there?
Oh, I suppose Dick Mack's is a great spot with a lovely kind of snug in there. I like it there. They've got a newish kind of area out the back as well, which is nice. I like Dick Mack's. I like the little Hollywood vibe it's got going on outside as well with the stars and the pack.
Yeah. Sure, it's the place to be now. Dick Mack's, that's where it is. That's where Fred again plays now.
Yeah. I wish I had a more kind of obscure pub for you in Dingle, but that's the one for me, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kennedy's.
Yeah,
but, it's nice and crammed in.
It's a great spot, Kennedy's. I did the first year I did Other Voices, I did a kind of a last minute gig there. Somebody pulled out, and just at the last minute I did it. And the room was so small, and of course, you know, I sit down, that I think about 3 people in the audience could actually see who I was. So I think everyone else thought I was the act who had dropped out. And they were like, this such and such does not sound like what they sounded like on Spotify at all. And it wasn't until the end when I said who I was, I'd say a lot of people all right, okay. But
that's yourself. All right.
Yeah, it was good crack. Yeah.
Good. So you're kind of between albums at the moment. You had a new song out recently called Take Guilt. Mm-hmm. Is that a song that's going to feature on album 3, or is it kind of an in-betweener? It's
a bit of both. I'm planning on it maybe being on the album, all right. There was another song that was released on its own last year called The Men Who Eat Ring Farts.
Yeah.
And that was...
Great track.
Thank you. That was done in this album during the sessions. But
okay.
It was done quite a bit after the rest of the album was done kind of as a chunk. And then that was done a good bit after. Same with the Take Guilt, the last single. Those were two sort of outliers in the sessions. So that's kind of why they both came out as standalones. So the rest of the album kind of was, written and recorded all together. So, so it's a little bit up in the air. The track list is kind of 99% there. So leaning towards a yes with that one.
Right, so it's probably, we're talking next year by the sound of it.
Yeah. It's pretty much finished. I'm just kind of tying up the final ends now at the moment. So if you ask me in about a week, I'd probably have 100% answer. But for now, 99%, you know.
Yeah, so what was the setup for you this time? You were working with Spud, John Spud Murphy on this one?
Yeah.
Had you worked with him before? You have, haven't you?
Yeah, he worked with me on the last record. He mixed the last record, but I'd never worked with him on a full project until this album. So we just went in. There was a studio that I was renting in Kimmage just to demo and to write. And then I was doing that for about a year and then hooked up with Spud and we were looking for a place to record it. We were going to go up to Hellfire up in the Wicklow Mountains. But then I just decided, why not use the space I'm already renting? This is a space I was like really used to. And my plan was to play all the instruments myself and kind of do as much myself as I could, because that's how it was all arranged and that's how it was all demoed. So decided to do that. So it basically just ended up me and him in this tiny studio in Kimmage, just the two of us kind of working long hours together. So we really got to know through working with each other the ins and outs of how each other works. And it was quite intense, but because everything was arranged within an inch of its life, there wasn't much space for like much improvisation around the lines.
Yeah.
But and it also meant we worked backwards. So I did played the drums first for all the songs, and then worked backwards from that to where I did the vocals last. But that meant that I basically sang over the entire album, almost mixed, which was a really like cathartic experience at the end, and all the precision and the kind of unemotional box ticking of the recording process just blew up in this big catharsis at the end where I basically was singing over the album, and it was really special. So yeah, can't wait to get the album out, and it'll be sometime next year, but that's as vague as it gets at the moment.
You're playing all the instruments yourself? Yeah,
but like that's not a lot of instruments. That's I think it's about 5 instruments over the whole album. So like I kind of arranged it for 5 musicians. But I kind of wanted it to be sort of like, I suppose it's embodied in the Men Who Eat Ringforts in a way. That kind of sound I'm kind of playing with now is sort of like nearly writing for like a trad orchestra or something like that. I was listening to a lot of Ceol Tori Coolan. Their album, their soundtrack for the Playboy of the Western World was a huge influence. So kind of arranging with that kind of a sound in mind. Different kind of avant-garde kind of composers I was listening to a bit over lockdown when I was going insane, and then also just being really inspired by the landscape of where I'm from in Kilcummin, which over lockdown I got really into, you know, as everyone else did, walking, and got to know more intimately kind of where I'm from, whereas before it would have been written in terms of me in Dublin, me writing about home from far away. You know, over lockdown I had to write about it while I was in the thick of it, so that kind of made me write about it in a more real way. So that's where the Men Who Eat Ringforts came from there. It's a more realistic song about what's actually happening to the landscape at the moment, as opposed to, you know, mythological ideas, romantic ideas of the landscape, you know.
Is there any other creative preoccupations or things you're really enjoying right now that you're finding satisfying or influential on you? Whether music or otherwise? Yeah,
like there's always stuff that I'm influenced by, even apart from music, like visual stuff. I'd always be thinking of ideas for future videos and things like that. But the instrument that I started on when I was a kid was the piano. I've always played it as much as I've played the guitar, but I just got more into the guitar playing live because I'm able to write easier on the guitar. But I've started getting back into the piano now and writing for the first time on the piano. So that's been kind of exciting for me, and a new way of writing. It's a big challenge. It's just totally different feel. So I'm just trying to write on that at the moment, and it's making me write very differently, which is cool. So I'm following that little thread. I'm I'm sharing a studio with Phil Christie from the Bank, and he leaves some of his instruments in the studio. So I play around with that stuff a little bit now too. So we'll see where that's leading, but just having a bit of crack with that. It's nice being at a point where you've just finished a piece of work and you're between things, because it's like a nice grace period where you have the confidence of having just finished a project, and then you're kind of in a playful mood for the next one. Just kind of the pressure's off because you have something under your belt. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm kind of having a bit of fun with things.
Yeah, kind of playtime almost.
Yeah,
kind of do what you want.
Yeah,
nice.
And then that slowly kind of turns into pressure as deadlines kind of come in and stuff. So it's good to be a bit ahead of the game and kind of start doing stuff now, which later will kind of hopefully bear fruit.
Yeah, you were out on tour recently. You did some UK dates. How did you feel? How did it all go?
It was great. I'd say I've gone over a few times now with tours. It was probably the best one so far, I'd say. It's building nicely over there, and I don't think I'd played any of the venues before, except for one in Brighton where I opened for Naima Bach there a few years ago. So it was nice to come back to there and do my own show. But other than that, I'd never played any of the venues. And they were all great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Mara in London was one.
Yeah.
Fulford Arms, York Voodoo Rooms in Edinburgh, Prince Albert.
Yeah.
And Casimir Stockroom in Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
I've heard of
that. Was a great spot. Seems actually.
Like a nice
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was the first date of the tour. Yeah, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. And we had Iona Zajac on support as well coming along with us. She was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Very
well worth checking out.
And of course, you did the Bella Bar in Dublin as well, kind of a single launch. And I couldn't make it, but I couldn't help but notice you had comedian Peter McGann on support, which I think it was a really nice. I was really intrigued how that was going to go. How did he get on?
He was absolutely amazing. Like I'm a huge fan of his. Have been for a good while, and
he's probably my favorite Irish comedian. I think he has been for a while.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's world class. Like. He's world class. He used to do this character called Liam Nugent, and I only knew him through that character. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if that was actually if it was a man called Liam Nugent or not. It's this really like kind of Neil Hamburger kind of character, kind of pathetic, kind of failed comedian character, but really fascinating and hilarious. And then he kind of stopped doing that, and I was like, I really, really used to enjoy that. And then he came out under his own name, and it was even more amazing. And so I got onto him a while ago to open for me. I think the last time I did the Button Factory to do the Liam Nugent character, and he was away, but he said he really would like to do it again. So then this little single kind of launch party for the new single, I just got onto him, see would he be up for it, and he was, and on the night he was even better than I thought he'd be. It was just a masterclass. Like, it was incredible. Yeah. And he went about 20 minutes over time, and I didn't even care. Okay. Yeah, I wanted him to go on. Did
he do character stuff, or was he?
No, he was in the one character. Yeah, he was sort of himself. It was a stand-up set, but it was so perfect as well for, like, I find something like that done well breaks the ice for music so brilliantly, like, especially if there's a bit of humour in the music as well. It's just lovely for something like that to bring those colours out of the music that you're playing too. And when it's done as well as that, it's just, it's perfect. Yeah, it was great.
Because I saw him at Vicar Street last year, and I think a lot of, especially nowadays with comedians, a lot of them get known for their sketches and their characters. But what I was so impressed by was his just stand-up show was the funniest part of the show. I was like, it's really hard to turn, like, you turn up and, like, he did Liam Nugent, but, like, the other stuff, his just pure stand-up stuff was just even better. I was like, well, that's the struggle, I guess, for a lot of comedians who are online these days. They have to kind of make a career out of it. But, like, I was just so impressed with Peter being able to take it from that sphere, then turn it into like the more traditional stand-up and just be absolutely way more hilarious than I would have expected. So
Yeah.
good shout on that.
Yeah.
What's coming up otherwise for that, for yourself? You go to the Voices, and then you're going to do you've got some more dates actually next year, but so kind of just finishing the album. You've got this Pogues thing you're doing, performing at the 40th anniversary. Did you do this before in London? Was that right?
Yeah, it was a 40th anniversary of their first album, Red Roses for Me. It was part of this thing called Féile Math, which is a buddy of mine, Campbell Baum. He has this folk collective called Broadside Hacks, kind of promoters as well, doing amazing stuff in London on the folk scene. He just put together this weekend for Irish music, and as part of it just got on to Spider Stacey from the Pogues about doing something around the 40th anniversary of that album. And so they had this gig on in the Moth Club, which is where all the events were on that weekend. And yeah, it was, as it turned out to be, just Spider Stacey curating the night, picking kind of some acts that he think would do a good job with those songs, and had it on the Moth Club, and it sold out immediately, of course. And then they moved it to the Hackney Empire and then sold that out. And the night itself was just completely surreal. I still can't believe it happened. I did a song called Sea Shanty with the Pogues, and especially Shane had just died fairly soon, before that. And it was just made it all the more surreal and emotional for me just to be standing in that place. It was like a dream I would have had in school or something come to life.
Yeah.
And talking to the other acts on the night, everybody thought the same thing. Like, they couldn't believe they were there. Like Dara from Lancome, John Francis Flynn, Kojak, all the people that were there were all like, I can't believe this is happening. So it's just great because the Pogues, their influence on this current batch of artists that are kind of doing this folk thing or whatever in Ireland cannot be overstated. It really is sort of, you can trace so much of it just back to them in so many different ways. I definitely think that they're ground zero for a lot of stuff that I do. A lot of the ways I think about music come straight from their records, and in ways that I feel maybe they aren't given enough credit for, such as the arrangements and even the choice of material in their songs, not even getting onto Shane's songwriting, which of course is just also incredible. But for a lot of ways, there was one moment that they were doing a song and I was standing beside John Flynn side of stage, and I just turned to him and I said, I think the Pogues are the best band ever, who have ever lived. And John was like, oh, right, okay. But I was like, I think in that moment I was like, I just felt such an emotion and such a connection to them that it just seemed like such. I just went back to listening to them when I was 12. And the same feeling of what the hell is this? This is just hitting me in every different level. Of course, some of which are very, maybe genetic, as sort of being an Irish thing as well. So yeah, it was just to be in any way a part of that for myself, and I'm sure for the other acts as well, was just very, very special, and can't wait to do it again. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. It sounds so interesting. Sounds like such an interesting night. And obviously, you were kind of given that song to play or to sing?
Yeah. Spider Stacey just DM'd me on Twitter and was like, do you want to sing Sea Shanty for the Pogues 4th anniversary for gig for Red Roses for Me? And I couldn't believe, I'd never talked to him or anything before. I couldn't believe I'd gotten the message.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, of course. And then after saying yeah, I remembered that the song itself is absolutely insane. It's 1 million lyrics a second. I was like, I'm going to have to do some deep sea diving breathing exercises or something to kind of get this down. And it took me a few months I got the message a good few months in advance, and thank God I did, because it took me a few months to get it. It was really difficult. Then on the night, I went up and did it. There was one or two tiny things that I was could have done better, but that was just my own head. I was fairly happy with how I did it. And then got off the stage, and then Jim Finer, the banjo player from the Pogues, was just walking by me, and I was like, just said, thanks very much, for having me. And he said, well done on doing sea shanty. And he said, you're the only person who's ever gotten all the lyrics right. So I was like, geez, I shouldn't have put as much pressure on myself if Shane McGowan himself couldn't even get all the words.
Well, you weren't, I mean, you weren't to know, I guess. But,
but no, I was
now you're going to do it again.
Pretty happy with that. So yeah, hopefully I can do it, it again. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a nice way to kind of mark his passing as well, in a way, because it's like, through the songs, through gathering and all that stuff. I think it sounds like a really nice experience. And yes, that's 3 Arena on the 17th. A big old shed this time.
Yeah,
nice big old room. So that'd be good.
I think there's even more people added to the lineup as well than the London one.
Yeah.
The Mary Wallopers, I think, Ian Lynch from Lankum, Green and Tom from Fontaine's, and a few others as well. Yeah, there's a couple of other surprises that I've been told as well that I can't tell you either. But
okay, we love surprises.
It'll be a good night.
Is there any other music you're enjoying at the moment? Anything else? Like, because I'm in my kind of, I love the end of the year. I love the best of. I love going back and revisiting everything, because I find now that when there's so much music obviously being released all the time that you never get a chance to go back and listen to everything you really liked. And so I kind of use this time, we're talking November onwards, for the rest of the year, to like listen to stuff that I was like, oh yeah, I love that, but I haven't listened to it in a while. I love revisiting stuff. Is there anything that you're particularly enjoying at the moment?
Yeah, first, this year went so quick that I keep thinking like albums and songs that came out last year actually came out this year, which is a bit strange of a feeling. But still listening to stuff from last year because of that. But this year, really been enjoying the Lazarus Soul. That album is great. Courtesy as well. I've been really, really loving what he's doing a lot. Brick Nasty as well. I really like what they're doing and their kind of energy. Abbey Coulibaly as well, who they play with too, is brilliant. Soda Blonde as well. Really like what Soda Blonde are at too. And I've really been enjoying Damien Dempsey's new album that just came out there, actually. I think it's real, it kind of reminds me of listening to his older stuff for the first time. There's a bit of that to the new album, and just love the melodies and the lyrics in it. There's a song in it called Landlords and the Government, which is great. It could be one of his best. And obviously going out of Ireland, loved the whole Drake and Kendrick beef. Not like us, of course. Yeah,
hard to believe that doesn't really feel like this year almost.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know.
That feels like last year, and then last year feels like this year. Very, very strange. But it really feels like a long time ago, all right. But no, absolutely brilliant. And I think he's doing the Super Bowl, isn't he?
I believe
Kendrick,
so. When is that? That's February, is it?
That's February, yeah.
Something like that.
So I look forward to him doing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. And yeah, so there's been stuff like that. And in terms of not new stuff, I've been listening to a lot of Charles Mingus. Really has been blowing my mind a good bit. And then also Jordy Greep's new album has been really. I've been really digging that.
You like that, yeah?
Yeah. Really, really like that. There's a lot in it. It's hard to believe that it came out so soon after Black Midi broke up.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Because it seems like an album that took years and years to make. Seemed to have just taken a couple of months for him. So pretty amazing. So I've been enjoying that stuff. Yeah, there's just lots of great stuff happening all the time.
Nice.
A lot of which is in the country. which is great too.
Yeah, well, you'll get to see if you're down for the whole weekend in Dingle, you'll get to see Courtesy. He's down there anyway, for sure. Yeah, we had him chatting on the podcast last week. Lovely guy, and I love his album as well. I think it's really great. Really great debut album.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff there. Have you had a look at anything else that's on the lineup this year? Will you be able to?
Yeah, well, like Fionn Regan is there, I believe, isn't he? On the trail.
New album out.
Yeah, new album out. So I'd really look forward to that as well. I mean, everything that's on in the church, like I love Wonder Horse. I think they're absolutely brilliant. I've been following them for a while. Lisa O'Neill, of course, Rachel Lavelle. Yeah, it's all class in the church. Like there's. Like I think Mohammed Sifkan is down for the trail.
Yeah, he's
amazing.
On the list, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's all.
Do you know, I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to that.
He's fantastic. Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah,
he's really great live. As also at the Bank as well. I must definitely check them out. As Phil from the Bank, I shared a studio with him, so I'll give him a shout out because he allows me to share his studio with him. But no, I saw the Bank at Another Love Story, and it was the best thing I've seen all year. So as I also saw Seamus Highland as well, who at Another Love Story.
Yeah, he's down as well, I believe. Yeah,
that'd
be great.
He's fantastic live. He's got a gig coming up in the Cobblestone, I believe, on the 21st of this month. I highly recommend anyone around Dublin to go to that. His stuff's fantastic. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. I mean, Keane Kavanagh as well, I think, is there in the trail.
Yeah.
And there's a new band
I love his new tracks.
from Galway called Shark School as well. I'd like to check them out as well.
Shark School. Yeah, much heavier than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, right.
I did actually catch him a bit at Ireland Music Week. From the back. Yeah. From the back. It was so jammers, but I couldn't see much. But
yeah.
Kind of was giving me the kind of math rock kind of vibe from 10, 15 years ago that was really popular here, which is coming back around a bit, I think, based off some of the stuff I've been saying. So, interesting.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
Yeah.
Music is cyclical most of the time, and that's what happens. People, like, that was the other Art of Music Week, like, there's just loads of bands who were into shoegaze. Shoegaze is a big deal.
Yeah,
it's
funny, it's coming back, all right. Things come back, but that's also how new things form as well. A new thing doesn't come out of nowhere, you know. It's a culmination of things that have come before, and when you hit a sweet spot of that, you get something new. So the cyclical nature of things is a good thing for sure.
Well, I appreciate chatting to me, and we'll see you down at Other Voices and in the upcoming tour as well in March. So, and
for sure,
look forward to hearing the album whenever it comes out.
In March, I believe it's the Black Box in Belfast, and then St. Luke's in Cork, and the Button Factory the 21st of March. So
20th, 21st, 22nd, Cork, Dublin, Belfast.
Exactly.
Live at St. Luke's, Button Factory and Black Box. So that's the next Junior Brother gigs after the Other Voices and 3 Arena with the Pogues. So enjoy that. We'll chat to you again soon, and thanks a million for joining us.
Yeah, thanks very much. See you again.
Here am I, doubled over, curled up underground. I'm able to get hurt now and then be safe and sound. And here am I singing from a cozy land. The men who stand in my skin have the upper hand. Take a look at my face. Take a look at the one beside me. Who matters? Here he is, torn asunder, hands over his ears.
Now it is time to talk to one of the event producers of Other Voices, and this is Juno King. It's busy times. We're nearly there.
It's a very busy time.
We're nearly there. I mean, Other Voices is always busy now. I mean, you're always busy. You're always at something. Whether it's the Guinness Storehouse or Cardigan or Annam or whatever's going on, there's always something happening in the Other Voices University state, isn't there?
There is. It's very exciting. It's a very exciting thing to be a part of. we're an international outfit now, Nyler.
Yeah, exactly. But it
um,
always comes back home, right? So that's the thing, and this is where you're from, where your family's from. So, you've kind of grown up with this as well.
I have. Other Voices began in 2001 when I was, say, 9, I think. Maybe I haven't got my facts completely straight there, but I've certainly grown up with it and been, indoctrinated in the Church of Other Voices. Not a bad thing. It's a real privilege to be a part of it. I feel like a lot of the crew, still the same crew that's been there since 2001, which is remarkable. It's grown substantially, exponentially in many ways. I was part of the crew photo from when I was quite young. So unfortunately, it did document my awkward teenage years, much to my embarrassment. But yeah, it's a remarkable thing. I just sometimes can't believe that it's grown as much as it has, and that it's kind of, the nice thing is that it's just amongst music lovers and artists internationally and at home. There's such a great amount of affection for it, I think, and that is palpable and it means a lot.
Yeah. So 23 years now is a long time, and you've had the big anniversaries, the big things, so you just have to keep at it now. And that's, I guess, the part that is always the tricky thing when it comes to Dingle is, accommodating the popularity of what started as a TV show originally and then became a bit more of an event, and then became a bit of a festival, and then became a bit of everything. So now that is always the thing, because Dingle is its own place. It's a limited amount of it. Has loads of great spaces, but the thing is now loads of people want to go. So how do you manage that now? Because we have obviously the music trail has grown and grown, and it sells out instantly, and people want to be there. And Dingle is a magical place as well. So all of these things mean it makes it quite difficult for you guys to be like, okay, we have to fit all of these people here somehow and accommodate that. So what's going on this year for the music trail stuff that you maybe alleviates that pressure somewhat?
So to your point, myself and my sister Molly, who you know well, who's a big part of the development of Other Voices, often joke that Dingle's possibly one of the kind of, I don't know, not worst, but in terms of the infrastructure that it has for something like this, it's very difficult. And even where it is, it's so peripheral, it takes such a long time to get to, that it's definitely not fit for purpose for a festival. Yeah. As we understand a festival to be, and it's an accidental festival. We don't even, I'm not sure we see ourselves in the category of festival either. It started out, as you said, as a TV show. It was considered the unofficial Christmas party of the Irish music industry. It was very niche, very quiet. It was a dead time in Dingle. The tourist season had ended. That has changed substantially. The tourist season in Dingle has kind of extended. It's still busy now. That is something that is always a challenge. We want to sustain the ethos of the original, how it started, that kind of artistic ethos and community ethos. So that is something that we're always conscious of and need to maintain. The place is so significant to the actual thing. One informs the other. The reason it is so special is because we are in this remarkable place, that is so rich in language, in culture. I have watched artists just completely fall in love with it. It's a palpable thing. Artists and writers have been coming here for years and years and years and years. And you can see it take a hold. It is enchanting. And Other Voices wouldn't be what it is, I think, without this place, this community, these people. It is very much at the heart of it. And it's what makes it completely distinct and unlike anything else. And so I think the lesson there is, not lesson, but, sometimes it may be challenging to do something like Other Voices in a place like this, but it's what makes it so deeply special. And I think the reward for us is to see how people, artists, the people who come, music lovers, are so uplifted and kind of entranced by that. And in the times we're in now in the world, I think that's something special. And maybe there's a beauty in small, kind of progressive, interesting places that are peripheral. I'm sorry, I think I've kind of slightly maybe rambled off your main question. It's material or germane to what you're asking. It might not be completely fit for purpose. We might not have loads of spaces, but there's, necessity is the mother of invention. And,
and when you have to make
there's
the effort,
resourcefulness.
and yeah, exactly. Limitations can be important and can actually be a creative thing. And I think people have to make an effort. You have to make an effort putting it on, but people attending also have to make such an effort to get there. So there's something about that. There's something about that effort that people put in that kind of rewards you when you get down. You're like, okay, there's something else going on here that isn't just like, I'm going to pop around and see a few bands and that's it. It's like, it always feels like there's something else going on. There's a bit of a magic in the air, I think.
I don't know. I always say that this place, maybe other voices, but West Kerry particularly, would make you believe in magic.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know. I feel like I do. Like there's a certain mysticism about this place, that feeds into this. It feeds into the music, like most definitely, and all the artists and the people who come and are a part of this, they're taking a bit of especially in the beginning, like I'm always at pains to say that Other Voices is considered a real success now, and, that brings with it its own challenges now. But for a long time, we were on the other side of that. One of my favorite stories about Other Voices is two of my old friends from school, Leah and Roisin. So shout out to them. And when we were in secondary school, it was the year Amy Winehouse came to play in the church. Leah and Roisin, and I think Ava Dignan as well, they were going to our local cinema. I think we were in fourth year. So we weren't 18, and they were going to go to see Borat that evening. And they got turned away because they were underage. And they went up to the church and they were like, do you want to come in? And they went and they got in to see Amy Winehouse, which then turned out to be one of the most significant performances we've ever captured. And is considered one of the most significant live performances she's ever done. And I just like the dichotomy of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. I think that's part of it as well. But for a long time, we had to ask people to come into the church, years and years. And then it just grew and grew and grew organically. And we had to try and scale up to manage that. But, there's something in that as well, I think.
But there's only so much scaling you can do as well. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, there is. There absolutely is. And then, of course, the thing about it is if then you decide to put up a festival tent in the GIA pitch, well, then what does it become? Then, does it lose something?
Well, speaking of that, you lost the big nightclub in the town recently.
We did. The Hillgrove RIP. Yeah.
Many great nights had there, obviously. But this year you're kind of addressing that in terms of a larger space. This year you have the Jameson Music Trail, and there's also the Dingle Bridge House, which I believe is 800 capacity. So big enough space for people to come in. Yes. And lots. It kind of need that there. You need that kind of large space because there are a lot of small spaces, but you need, when there's so many people down, you need to be able to offer something like that, but also do it on your own terms.
Sinead, yeah. So, I mean, excitingly, auspiciously, we feel incredibly blessed and lucky and excited that Jameson have come on board this year. They're a wonderful partner to work with. That team are great and very culturally and musically minded. I suppose that the big news there is that, as you said, Niall, that they are kind of taking over the Dingle Bridge House, and they will have their own kind of bespoke stage and area in there. That is something we're all very, very hyped about. And there are going to be some, very exciting and very kind of big bands showing up. And I think they might be the talk of the town, potentially, I think there'll be a lot of, across the music trail. I mean, there is going to be wonderful shows and wonderful artists, but this is definitely an exciting development for us. There's a lot of people I'm excited to get down to there myself. Wonder Horse, Maverick Sabre and New Dad are all going to make an appearance, so that's some very, very much hyped, much loved artists. And we kind of can't believe it that they're going to be doing this special show in the Bridge House with the Voices of Jameson. It's going to be special.
It's going to be something new as well, which is always nice. It's always nice to have something new and something to mark the passing of time. You're like, great, we have something different, something exciting.
It feels like a milestone. It's another step in the story. It's another kind of marker, of development in our particular story, and it's something we are hugely excited and uplifted and energized by, I think, you know.
So there's lots to look forward to. Anything in particular you're looking forward to yourself?
Oh my God, so much. I was looking at just the Music Trail line of the poster, and I really, and I don't know about you, Niall, but feel particularly at this moment in Irish music, it's just so exciting. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, the proliferation of kind of Irish music across genre at this moment in time is just remarkable. You know, I think it's as good as anywhere in the world. I think that people, as we all know, are looking at Ireland. Look at culturally, musically, we're kind of at the center of the kind of cultural zeitgeist at the moment, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we kind of slot in there. You can see it's fine. It's reflected in our lineup. Like it's just the talent and the young talent across the board.
Yeah, and this year I think there's lots of great, like maybe debuts as well for the first time, like acts playing for the first time. So that's obviously very encouraging, because that means that, yes, there's some old familiar names as well, but also from very brand new people coming down to Dingle for the first time. And I think that's great to
and
see.
I'm going to, I always say I'm never going to do this, but I'm going to invoke Philip King. I'm going to invoke my dad and say, you know, as he always does, you know, we celebrate what's about to happen and we capture, you know, what's about to disappear, you know, and it does distinctly kind of capture what it is that we do. And, you know, we do see ourselves, and we hope that we champion and promote the emerging talent, the young talent, you know, that exists in this country. That is paramount. It's important. It's, you know, it's something we should be invested in, you know, and I think you can see the return on that support, not just from us or anything, but the amount of support that the Department of Arts are giving musicians at the moment, you know, that there's a return on that.
Well, that's what I'm all about, that what's happening, what's about to happen. That's my entire thing. I
didn't actually tell you who I was excited to see. I'll do a quick fire round. I'm really excited to see Annie Dog. I saw her at Ireland Music Week. Oh my God, it was so class, so jazzed, so good, so fully formed. Love that vibe. Doug, that kind of two-piece kind of country Appalachian. They're such a vibe. There's courtesy, just so cool. Slough Show, I'm obsessed. Just across genre, across literally everyone. Roche, and I'm like, have I given up some?
I love that Roche EP, and I saw Roche recently. Yeah, really, really brilliant, really, really good. So interesting and different. Yeah,
and then there'll be there'll be a few exciting people popping up. There'll be a few surprises from well-known faces. You never know where they might be.
Well, okay, so for anyone going down, like, where should they be paying attention for stuff like that, for the once-offs, do you know?
Again, another milestone in the development of Other Voices. Finally, we have our own app. It's been a long time coming. And again, I have to shout out Killian and Amy, who work across social and digital and many other things, but Killian particularly has kind of developed the app, and it is just such a wonderful thing. So everyone download the app, Other Voices Live, available at all good at stores or whatever, but all the gig listings there, and there will also be notifications during the weekend. So keep your notifications on for any surprises that might, you know, pop up. It's a really helpful guide. Everything is in your pocket. It's incredibly easy to use because there's obviously a huge amount of music happening. But for those kind of surprises, you might want to just keep an eye on your app.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much other things happening. There's Ireland's Edge, of course, happening as well. Then there's the little kind of things that have become tradition out of the Voices, like the banter chats and stuff, and the special guests that appear at that.
Well, you know, I think I say Jim Carroll's a bit of a national treasure, bit of an institution. Yeah. Banter's an institution. You know, there's just so much. It's all, you know what it is. It's all so nourishing. I always feel like, well, certainly for me, it really does sustain you in a way. You know, it sees you through that kind of. I don't want to sound like woo woo or anything, but like that human connection, that kind of the communion that only music brings about.
Yeah,
you know, it is healing. Like it is, I think, you know? Yeah,
it's very restorative. Gives you a big top up before Christmas and before we head into the darker months as well. So
it does. I think it gives you a bit of very inspiriting, and I think it's quite hopeful.
I was on the loose, I was on the run, I was started chasing something you weren't it's brewing up. We were on a roll, we were acting tough, we were locking down the love, we weren't willing to give it a shot.
Also down at Other Voices this year is Silverbacks, so we are going to talk to Daniel O'Kelly and Paul Leamy from the band. I started by asking Dan about moving to Paris and being away from the band and how that affects their songwriting and general getting togetherness.
I was on the loose, I was on the run, now I started chasing something you weren't willing to.
A lot of live stuff has happened between album 2 and 3, so I mean, how, like, a lot of things have happened. You didn't live in Paris last time, I don't think, but how does that affect being in a band and the songwriting process and all the stuff that you have to do as a band?
It doesn't affect the songwriting too much because GIlla and I, for a good while, have been writing songs separately and then just bounce demos to each other. We just don't write very well together when we're in the same room anymore. We just lose patience with each other. So we found the creative process was better when we were away from each other. And then the main difference is I'm not there for most of the practices and rehearsals. I anytime we have a gig, I fly back and I go there 2 or 3. We try to squeeze in 2 or 3 practices before like gigs and things like that. So Paul can talk more about the rehearsing without me. I'd say they probably enjoy it more without me there.
It's definitely more streamlined, but no, that's the reality. If Dan's over in Paris, we have to just keep moving on with that kind of stuff. So I think we get to a pretty good place, and then he flies in and nails down a few practice beforehand, and it's all pretty good. So, and Killian's doing singing as well these days a good bit more. So it's not like the 4 of us are sitting in a practice room just playing loud music, looking at each other. There is a bit of vocals going on, and so there is still that, and not full band aspect, but there is still that kind of whole act part to it as well. So it's not a complete waste of time.
And of course, Emma sings on the record as she did on album 2 as well, but not playing live now. Is that right?
Yeah, she's taking a little break from touring for personal reasons, just as well after a fairly heavy few years. So she just wanted to take a little bit of a time out, and she'll continue to be on the records, and then it's up to her when she wants to come back and gig with us.
So in terms of album 3, Easy Being a Winner, like there are some references here like Stereo Lab, which I can definitely hear, My Bloody Valentine, Guided by Voices I can hear for sure, and a cult Irish band, Roller Skate Skinny, also mentioned. Not a band I would normally hear cited. Actually, in fairness, a lot of pre-internet Irish music and Irish bands are not often cited by bands at all, really. So that was other than My Bloody Valentine being an obvious one maybe, but like, yeah, Roller Skate Skinny, who's into them?
Well, none of us were, but more because we just had never heard of them. But it was while we were in the studio, Dan Fox, our producer, turned us onto them because a few of the tracks and the way we were kind of playing them in the Invention recordings, he said they reminded him of some kind of Roller Skate Skinny jams. Okay. Yeah. So then we kind of got quite, I myself and Kale as well, a few of us started listening to them a bit, and it was just really, in terms of my own personal music taste, it really aligned with a lot of the bands that I do really like. I kind of like that mixture of wall of sound guitars, but also weird lyrics and weird synth sounds that you get in a lot of bands from the 90s. So we used some of that for Flex 95 mostly. We kind of put some overdubs of snares and went a bit madder with that song than it probably would initially have been. Yeah,
it's interesting. I guess a lot of the times those bands, people can't even access the music that easily, you know what I mean? So like they're not even on the streaming service or whatever. It might even not be on Bandcamp. They might be randomly on YouTube or whatever. So it's harder to cite them as an inspiration, you know?
Yeah, it was, I liked, it was kind of a happy coincidence. Like I liked Dan recommended the band, and then the band kind of fit in with some of the songs that we were thinking about and how to record them. And then another kind of like a fun story around this then is, and I don't know if he came across something I know, so when we released that single video, I don't know if he came across it because he maybe was searching Roller Skate Skinny in Google, and then might have come across a mention in one of our press releases. But he messaged us on Facebook to say, hey, I'm in a band. I was in a band from Dublin called Roller Skate Skinny. You might not have heard of us, but I really like your music. Like, keep it up. And
Yeah.
so we got back to him. So that was really cool.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you worked with Dan again. So what is it about Dan that so keeps you coming back? Because you've done every record with him, right?
Yeah, I think that we get along with him. So he's a friend. So there's like it's kind of like a friendship there, and then mutual understanding of how we work and how he works. And I think the first two albums, they were recorded within their own kind of challenges and constraints. Like Fad was quite a sporadic recording process. Archive was really squeezed in between COVID windows. So this one, it just made sense to go in for the third album with Dan, where we would have more time to try a lot of the ideas that we would have liked to have tested on album 2. And I think maybe I'm quite, we've been working with Dan now since 2018, so it's quite long. And maybe Paul can add what it was like working with him for like the first time.
You mentioned at the start how he's a nice person to work with. He said like a friend. That definitely helps the process, because if you're back and forth between someone and you're not getting along with them on a personal level, that's really going to impede any kind of creative process. So he's quite good in that, he's able to give that kind of nice feedback and help you and improve the songs as you go along. So that's always pretty nice. Even in that though, I like when the lads were recording the first 2 albums, I would have been dipping in and out anyway of the studio.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't have known him as well, but got to know him quite well over the last year with all the recording and stuff. But it was I knew kind of what I was getting into a little bit, so it was nice. I was looking forward to it. Kind of exciting. So he definitely brings a lot of fun to the room, which is nice. And
yeah. So he's very obviously technically minded as well, but like, I mean, what else? I mean, he's obviously he's in a great band himself. So like,
he has a creative input as well, and sometimes a technical input. I know there was times where, if I was doing the bass track for previous albums, he'd give me like little tips because I play bass like a guitarist. He didn't give Paul any tips though, because Paul's a machine on the bass.
Thank you.
Paul gave Dan tips.
Yeah, exactly.
They've actually reached out. They probably reached out to you, Paul. Have they, see if they could get 2 bassists on tour or GIlla band for the next tour?
1 band is enough at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. So he has there's a creative input as well. Certain elements where we're trying to. Often it's more about stripping back, because we will want to do it. We'll probably put too many tracks on a song, and he's quite good at sometimes saying, well, at this stage, I think we have enough. And maybe if we run this sound through like a pedal or...
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Some vintage pedal that he has lying around, that is the option, as opposed to trying to write an extra layer of melody over it. So he's good on that. And then this is actually, I think he said it was his first vocal track, but he does a backing vocal track as well on Being Star Nightlight. He does one of the vocal harmonies on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
And this time, like, you had more time this time with him, so and you also, you said it gives you more opportunity to do things that you didn't get to do last time out. So what were those things?
there was a lot of messing around with pedals. We were kind of like messing around with dials and live recordings, and then mainly new instrumentation. So we tried a bit with the piano, the Fender Rhodes. There's a harmonium that's lying in there as well. So the harmonium made it onto the Songs About Divide. And then we also had my dad in on clarinet one day, and we had Isha, one of the lads' friends from Newbridge, in on violin as well. So yeah, it just gave us more scope for messing around with different instruments.
Yeah. So, I mean, the press release, Killian says in the press release that you're an indie rock band now. So, I mean, like you weren't before.
What a gobshite.
What were you before? You're a post-punk band, were you?
No, I'll come clean with you, Niall. It was me that wrote that, and it conveniently got swapped, and it's been put on Killian.
Blame your brother again. That's fine.
Yeah, and
Lifetime with that.
Keenan wasn't happy at all that his name was put onto that quote. We were kind of asked to try write about this album and why we wrote it, and it's kind of hard. I find that to be the hardest part of it. It's like selling.
Yeah, it's hard to write about your own work.
Yeah, and then there's also certain elements of like we're not too transparent. Like we do keep quite certain elements of why we wrote songs or why things are operating the way they are private. But one thing that we have done from press release to press release anyway, beyond all that struggle, is we tend to change the. I think at one point, I think we actually once used something that you wrote about us in the article. I think it was art punk or something like that,
right.
Or art rock, and they're
Art
like,
rock.
oh yeah, that's a good one. So we used art rock then for the next press release, and it's kind of that kind of natural evolution. So we had the post punk, we had the art rock for a bit, and then we felt this album, let's just go with indie rock. It's a bit more broad.
Yeah, well, everyone's doing post punk now, you know.
Yeah, that's it too. We were there first, man.
Yeah, exactly. Now all the kids in Dublin are doing shoegaze. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, I saw there's a few shoegaze band coming up.
Every time I go see a band in Dublin now, it's like, we like shoegaze, but not like My Bloody Valentine. It's like just general shoegaze vibes, you know.
Yeah.
It's there all the time, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so you had your dad in for clarinet, and actually, of course, you can see on YouTube, you have a little rockumentary to watch, live rockumentary.
Don't make it sound so cool, man.
I know.
So good.
About the making of the record, so you can catch that out. But the other thing I noticed as well, like Emma's backing vocals on like a track like Spinning Jenny, like they're really beautiful. There's some really beautiful melodies on it as well, really beautiful backing vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you have a bit of extra time to do those kind of things, it's nice to be able to give it that.
Yeah, that's it. It's fairly, like, it's exhausting. I think it's probably more exhausting than just tracking instruments all day, doing harmonies. And she did so many, especially I think there's loads on Giving Away an Inch Of as well. Yeah. I think all the vocal tracks for Giving Away an Inch Of took about half a day. I think she was at it for about 4 to 5 hours. And it was Keenan and Emma. I don't know if you were in the studio that day, Paul, because I wasn't in the studio on that one. But
at the tail end of it.
You got the tail end of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was, I don't know how many tracks of harmonies there were on that, but there was a lot. And it's impressive work, like hearing someone, you know, essentially sing 3 to 5 notes at the same time. As in, like, after one the other.
Yeah.
It's particularly powerful on that song. If you like, with a decent set of headphones on, you can pick them all out. It's very lovely. So
So what does success look like now these days? With you're all in different modes. You're all in different. There's families and you know, marriages and all that stuff. All the good life stuff that happens. Like what do you want? I mean, do you want another Brad Pitt ad? Some more Brad Pitt money would be good, maybe. Come on, Brad. So the lads were I think it was 2021 or so, placed in a Brad Pitt starring ad for a sync.
It was Brioni. We got a sync deal with Brioni, and Brad Pitt was their ambassador, so he was in the ad.
Yeah. And
essentially, we've been quite lucky with sync deals. We've had a few without really having an official, like, a company that's actually pitching us that much. I think now we have one that's pitching us around, but those sync deals have helped finance the band and kind of helped us to break even. So which is
I
really
mean, that's
a luxury.
The thing. It's so hard to be in a band in 2024, right? Like, I mean, like, making money is a difficulty, and this is something I talk with almost every artist at the moment. Anyways, like, you know, streaming obviously isn't gonna make you huge money. Touring is become more expensive to do so. So. And then you're a 6-piece, technically, where you're actually making it harder on yourselves. Actually,
7-piece as well. Technically, if you count Gav, who's kind of, you know, a manager, but more than a manager as well. So I think I kind of became more comfortable with that idea that, you know, it was unlikely that I was ever going to be a full-time musician or in a full-time band, and I kind of missed the window where I felt that kind of life would have been really something manageable and fun for me. Like, I do enjoy touring, but to kind of make this worthwhile, you really need to be on the road all the time. That's kind of the way to get your music in front of people, especially for a band like us, where
Yeah.
We're like,
I don't think I'd be able to make the jump to a full-time musician at this point in my life, which is not a bad thing. Like, there's still, like, it's at the moment, it's still a hobby, and it's even discussing this with Patter at the weekend. It's like, it's still very fulfilling to go through the process. It's a pain a lot of times, but it's good pain, you know. It's like the end result is still fulfilling and worthwhile. So I hold on to that thought a lot.
Yeah.
And again, we're with a lot of friends, so that's also the other thing. It's a band with your friends, which makes it a lot easier.
yeah,
Is it? Yeah.
yeah, that's not to get too corny, but that's the success for me is like that. Especially now that I'm away, it's just like a really great way of staying in touch with people who are important to me. And it's not just that they're important to me, like we're kind of like in a team, you know, which is some nights we might get in front of, 20 people and we're like, okay, well, let's try get these people motivated and enjoy their night. Other nights we step in front and there might be 200-300 people in the crowd, and then that's like a different buzz as well. But you're kind of, at the end of it, you're like, as a unit, you're like, okay, we made something cool together, and that's fun.
Well, it's great. I mean, the records are getting better and better, and
Thanks.
there's more variation.
Thanks to Paul.
Paul is the secret sauce on the new one for sure.
Yeah, secret sauce.
This is recorded, isn't it? Yes, perfect.
He looks happy with himself. That's all I'm going to say about Paul there.
Yeah. For the listeners, Paul has both hands behind his head and is leaning back in his chair.
He looks very happy about it.
I'll take a screenshot there, Niall. I'm taking a screenshot. I'll send it to you.
I have the whole thing on video. Don't worry about it.
I'll send you the screenshot anyway.
Okay. So next up for Silverbacks is a trip to Dingle for Other Voices.
Will you be there?
Of course.
Of course.
It's one of my favorite places in the world.
I saw you were doing a set. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, in terms of like DJing, it's one of the best places to play. I always feel like I'm playing to my people, I guess, in a way. It's always a nice thing. You've been down there before. What's your experience of it?
We've been there twice before. I think, Paul, you were with us as well.
Yeah, your first one.
The first one.
The year, but it's the pub that's looking out on the marina. Is it the Marina Bar?
Right, the Marina Inn or something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple down there.
We've been down twice. Both times it was fun. I think the first time was really fun because it was like our first time doing it, and I was actually it was my first time doing it, and the year before I had gone as like a fan, so that was cool. And I'm looking forward to this one as well. Like I really love Dingle anyway in that part of the country. We have my mother's from Kerry, so like not far. They're from like a town not far from the Stow. Yeah. So even like when we play Mike the Pies as well, it's like always a real buzz being out that far out west and stuff.
Yeah. There's something about going that far for a gig, for music. That makes it extra special. I don't know what it is. That's what that's why that stuff keeps me going back there anyway, especially for Other Voices. It's like just got that something extra. Obviously as well, like always a great lineup of music, and the music trail now is so cool, but there's also great pubs there as well. There's brilliant pubs there. Like some of my favorite nights, some of my favorite pubs are in that one single town.
They've really nailed down the hardware pub combo. Those hybrid bars. There's like a cluster 3 of them, I think it is.
Yeah.
Where you can just like go in and check out vintage tools while having a pint.
Get some rat poison. Get a pint of Guinness. Whatever you feel like on Saturday afternoon. Have you had a look at the lineup for this year? Have you had a look at what's on?
Not what's on in the church because they won't let us in.
There's too much demand for the church, but
there's other reasons they won't let us in. And it's not myself or Paul.
We've established that.
They're not here to speak about it.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, but I had looked at the music trail. I think music trails kind of just got better every year. I guess in terms of like, I think at the start, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now it seemed more like it was for like bands just starting off.
Yeah.
But now it seems like it's a mixture of bands starting off and bands that have been around for a little bit longer. So I'll try catch whoever's on Sunday. I don't think we'll be going down on the Saturday, but I think both our sets are on the Sunday. So between them, hopefully I'd like to catch the Bonk because I've never seen them live. I've heard they're great.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
And then, let me see, I'm looking at the list now. There's loads. Junior Brothers playing. I Dreamed a Dream. We played a show with them in Sligo years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Skinner.
Skinner will be there. He'll be there on the Sunday, obviously.
Yeah.
Day, so
Okay, great.
he'll be around.
Right, we'll catch up with
He'll
him.
be around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else, Paul? You're
Yeah.
looking at there?
Cyclist. I remember going to see the Cyclist before. That was quite a good gig, so I'd be happy to see that again. I'm quite lazy when it comes to finding new music, so I'm usually brought along to a lot of bands and things like this, and that's usually how I end up listening to stuff for a year later. So
Yeah, it's a great way to discover things.
Yeah.
I tried to listen to the bands before, and then I send my recommendations to the lads in like a chat.
Okay.
But often what happens is we just end up in a bar and we don't.
You have to drag yourself away sometimes. You can see a lot in Dingle anyway.
Yeah.
Including yourselves. And,
yeah, that's it.
So Easy Being a Winner is out now. Thanks, Dan and Paul, for chatting to me.
Thanks, Niall, for
Thanks,
having
man.
us.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Had to come to terms with the fact that I was defeated. I always jumped straight to the part about how they died and their net worth. Everyone's eating dessert. Sorry for disturbing dessert. As theories of presidential wardrobe malfunctions proceeded, hitting the bottom line. Hitting the bottom line.
Special thanks to Silverbacks and Junior Brother and Juno from Other Voices for talking to me for this week's episode. I will be down under the Voices in Dingle next weekend, November 29th to December 1st. You can catch me DJing actually on the Friday night at McCarthy's, so playing twice there late at night. And looking forward to seeing you on the Jameson Music Trail and the Dingle Bridge House, including some special surprises happening down there, so look out for that in the family room. Okay, that's it for the 909 podcast this week. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
Renew your health and wellness purpose this new year with The Reset on Aloe Moves, a curated weekly program of Pilates, strength, and step goals to kickstart your fitness journey. It's a 30-day week-by-week program, 3 days of Pilates, 2 days of strength, and 8,000 daily steps, plus bonus nutrition tips from Sakara. Plus, for only $99, you get a year's worth of access to Aloe Moves, on-demand, full studio experience wherever you are. Get moving today at aloemoves.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Thanks for listening to the 909 podcast. If you like what we do, why not consider supporting us at patreon.com/909.